Hey there, it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy. And today I have a really cute card for you. And this isn't the card, this is the card that more or less inspired my card that we're going to make together. And this one was a swap from my team swap that was Mary McCannon made. And look how cute it is. And as you can see, and hopefully you've seen in the celebration catalog, it uses that new Hippest Hippos and the Hippos dies. Oops, something went flying. There we go. So the hippo dies, look, it has 19 of these little dies. Let me take it out so you can see all of them. I'm gonna take a couple of them out because we're gonna use them. But it has all of these dies along with the stamp set, and you can see that 3 of the dies cut out the cute little hippos, and the rest of them are what they call independent dies. You can see that Mary used the boat here, she used the life preserver. This is the little propeller, and you have hearts and goggles and umbrellas and flowers, and it's just a really cute set. Now, like I said, you can find this set in the celebration brochure or pamphlet, whichever one you want to call it. It's right here at the beginning. And for two $50 orders, you can get both things. And that's in the U.S., here in the U.S. So a $50 order gets you the stamp set, and another $50 order gets you those dies. Now, when I say a $50 order, that means you could order anything out of the annual catalog, anything out of the mini catalog, the current mini catalog, which I call the holiday mini, any of our kits, including Paper Pumpkin. Now, Paper Pumpkin, you can buy a prepaid subscription. You can do it in 1, 3, 6, or even 12 months. And when you order that online, then you get the celebration rewards, which would be this thing here. But real quick, so you know, Paper Pumpkin, if you sign up before August 10th, you get the Sweet Sunflowers, which is August's kit, and they have a free gift in there. So these, let me see if I can call it, they're honeycomb gold. Oh well, I can't find the name of it, but you get these free honeycomb pieces of gold that you can use on different cards. They're not part of the Paper Pumpkin kit, but you can see all the cool things. And this month, if you're interested, is a card kit. You get 9 cards, 3 different designs, so 3 each of 3 different designs in August Paper Pumpkin. I'm excited about that one. But then again, I'm always excited about Paper Pumpkin, huh? So if you have any questions regarding celebration, regarding Paper Pumpkin, you know, ask your demonstrator. If you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. You go ahead and ask me. But let me show you the card that we're doing today. It's a fancy fold. It's called a balcony card. And mine that I'm going to make today looks like this. Dang it. Using those Happy Hippo dies and stamp. Okay, so now the balcony card is all over the YouTube right now, I think. And I saw the card that I saw, or the demonstrator I saw make it, was Cindy Brumbaugh. So thank you, Cindy, for sharing all your videos and stuff and helping me to learn. But let me show you how I put my card together. Okay, let me set those aside. I kept out the dies that we're going to use. And now normally I would tell you to go to my blog to look for my paper sizes, but still my blog is on the blinker. It's having troubles. You can't go there. So I'll try to tell you all the sizes of cardstock right now, and you can write them down. Or hopefully in a couple of days my blog will be back up. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you the card sizes now. So the card base here, and I'm using Balmy Blue, is just a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. So it's 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then for my background, now let me show you another, well, let's go on. So for my background here, I'm going to actually use basic white. Now, most of the cards I've seen, they've used designer series paper here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like on this card, and I have a bunch of other ones that I'll show you at the end of the video. This one, I used the designer series paper back there, right? So it's really pretty that way too. But that is just 5 1/4 by 4, your basic layer on your card base. And then we have a piece here of the same color card base. This one is normally, and I say normally because I'm going to do it a little bit different, 2.5 by 4. Right, I had a little brain fart there. 2.5 by 4, and then this strip here is 6.5 by 1 1/4. Now, when I say this is usually, because I'm gonna use the dies and make it look like there's water here, I'm gonna bring in a piece that is 4 inches by 3 inches, and then we might cut that down after we run the die through it, and I'll show you, but I'm going to take this one out. But like I said, if you're doing a card that looks like this one in case, like this one, instead, I just used that brick folder and didn't use any designer series paper, didn't use any dies, and so this one is 2.5 by 4. Mine is going to be 2 3/4 by 4. I think, but we're going to cut it down anyway, so it doesn't matter. This one I said is 6.5 by 1 1/4. You need 2 pieces of basic white or the coordinating plain color that are 2 1/4. Nope, I'm sorry, 2.5 by 4. That's where you put your greeting on the back, like this. And then your designer series paper, or like to decorate these pieces, like I've done here, and this piece here, are 3 inches by 2 1/4 and 1 inch by 5 1/4. And like I said, hopefully, well, as I go, I'll talk about it too, and you can get those card pieces, sizes, whatever. But the first thing I'm going to do is take that piece here. That's really the balcony piece, this one here. I'm going to put that aside, and I'll talk to you about that later. This one is what I'm going to use here, and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. So I'm going to take my plate and then my number 2 cutting pad. I'm going to lay my paper on there, and then I'm going to take my die and lay it at the very top, and I'm going to try to get it centered as best I can and straight, and then I'm going to hold it in place with some washi tape. You get it straight here, straight as I can, and just take that little bit of washi tape and hold it down so it doesn't move when I put it through my die cut machine. And then another cutting pad on top. Bring out that mini cut and emboss machine. Just run it through there. And I think I've done all the rest of the die cutting, so you don't have to sit and watch me. This video is going to be a little bit longer than my normal videos. I try to keep them short so they stay interesting and you don't get bored with me. But this one might be a little bit longer. So as I take that die off, and I'm going to just put it up there so it doesn't get lost. Now you see how that die only cuts the water up here and it doesn't cut the down below, because that way you can make your water as deep as you want it. But I'm going to just take my paper snips here and just cut it there and there. Whoop. And now I have a piece that looks like that. Then I'm going to take my paper trimmer here and put those waves at that 2.5 like this. Yep, that's 2.5, and then cut it down. So now my paper is 2.5 by 4. And I hope all of that made sense. Like I said, I just wanted that little wave along the top, but I still want that piece to be the right size. Okay, then let's do a little bit of scoring first, real quick on these papers. And we're gonna bring the paper trimmer in and out, because that's how I think it's easiest to do this card, although maybe it's gonna be confusing, but we'll see. So on this strip that's 6.5, I'm gonna score, let me get my cutting blade out of the way. I'm gonna score here both ends at 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna use the measurements out here for 1/2 inch, and then I'm gonna score it in half at 3 1/4, like this. So then I have a piece. Now I'm gonna fold on these all the way back on the ends. Well, I'll call them, these are called my tabs now, because that's what I'll call them later. And then this one, I just want to get a little bend. I don't really want to fold that much. And then I'm going to do the same thing to what I call my water piece. Now I'm going to turn it over so I have the straight edge up here, and I'm going to score both ends, excuse me, at 1/2 inch. Whoops, there he goes. 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to score him in half at 2 inches, because he's 4 inches, so half would be 2. I'm going to do the same thing for him. Don't put the trimmer too far away. I'm going to score these 2 tabs all the way in half, or like I guess in half like that, and then just barely give that center a little bend so it looks like that. And that's what this piece would look like, that. Okay, let's set these aside and let's get on to our stamping now. So I'm going to stamp those, well, let's see what the back of my card. I'm only going to stamp one. I'm going to do my card exactly like my sample card. So I'm going to stamp one of those 2.5 by 4 basic white. I'm going to stamp on that basic white that's 4 1/4 by 5. No, 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to more or less turn that into my designer series paper. And then while we're at it and have our ink out, I've got 2 pieces of this designer series paper. Now this is also part of Celebration. This is that silver and gold specialty paper. It comes in a big old pack like this, and it has, let me see if I can get it out. It has gold stripes, gold dots, silver stripes, and silver dots. Now the back is just plain white, but look how pretty that paper is. I think this is going to be great for Christmas, so I suggest you stock up now. And if you haven't heard, all of Celebration items are while supplies last, and I have a feeling the paper, although I could be mistaken, I have a feeling the paper is going to go first. But let's just start with these 2 little strips. Now these sizes, this is 2 1/4 inches wide, or tall, excuse me, in case you're using the pattern. And you notice that I cut my pattern the wrong way. Let me find if I have a piece that's cut the right way, or I might have to cut another one, because I wanted this to go this way to look like the waves, and this to be tall like the grass. And I thought I cut one the right way, but now I can't find it. So let me hurry and cut another piece of paper. And I'm glad I brought that up, because when you have designer series paper, you want it to be 2 1/4 inches tall. So let me just cut that real quick that way. 2 1/4. And then I want it to be 3 inches wide, like that. There. Now my designer series paper in my eyes looks more like water than it does like grass. So here we go. Now, did I tell you the sizes again? Let me tell you one more time. This one is 2 1/4 tall by 3 inches wide. This is 1 inch tall by 5 1/4 wide. And real quick, we're going to just put some ink on there. So I got a scratch piece of paper here. And I'm going to use my blending brushes with a little bit of Granny Apple Green. Now this, like I said, is going to be the grass. So I'm going to just ink that up, tap it, and I'm going to go like from the center toward the edges. If I go this way, there's a good chance that I'm going to crinkle my paper or bend my paper, and I really want it to be flat. So I'm going to just put a little bit and turn that white into, whoopsie, and I just did it. Told you I wasn't going to do that. But turn this white cardstock or this white specialty paper into green, kind of like the grass would be. Okay, just a little bit. It doesn't take much. I think that looks, this one's a little light. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to let that sit aside, let that ink maybe dry a little bit. Let's bring in some balmy blue here. And I'm going to do the same thing. If I can get my balmy blue open. There we go. My balmy blue to this piece here. Now, since this piece isn't so thin, it's a little easier to get on those corners and that one side without bending the cardstock, but I am going to be really careful. Because sometimes our specialty paper is really thick. In this case, it's not a really thick paper. It's just a thin designer series paper that's really pretty with that silver and gold foil on there. Okay, I think that looks, well, one more on this little corner right here. Not perfect, it looks pretty good, but now it's blue instead of green. Okay. Now, while I'm letting those 2 pieces of paper or that ink kind of dry a little bit, I'm going to bring in that basic white here and this great big background stamp. Now, what's this one called? This is one of my favorites, Ray of Light, and I'm a little ashamed to say this is the first time I've used it. but I've got it set up. I put it here in my Stamparatus. So I have my base plate and then just a scratch piece of paper. My magnets are holding my grid paper onto my base, and then I don't see if you can see, I use it all the time, but this is called sticky grid paper. Now it's not something you can find in my online store. I had to get it off of Amazon, but it works really nice because you can see where the outline of my stamp is, I guess. And I'm going to put my paper or my cardstock, this basic white, in that area that it's going to stamp, and then that sticky grid paper is going to hold my paper in place for me. And then with just a little bit of crushed curry, I'm going to ink up that great big background stamp. Make sure I'm getting all the edges and corners. See, I think I missed there. I got it now. Missed that corner up there and the center. Take my time. And then I'm going to just ink up that basic white, making sure I apply pressure over here in the corner where the hinge is of my Stamparatus. And I know if you watch my videos, but I use my Stamparatus for a lot of things, a lot more than just background stamps. But now I think my paper moved a little. No, it didn't. So I'm going to just go back down and get this corner right in, apply enough pressure. And now, oop, one more spot. And now my background looks like that. Look how pretty that is. Okay, I'll take that off, put this away. And then I'm just going to go ahead and attach this to the back of, or to my card base, that 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece, like this. Let's go ahead and stick him right on there. Okay, and then bring in that basic white that's for the background, and that little hippo. I'm going to ink him up in black memento because I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends to color him real quick. So I'm going to just stamp him down here in the corner. That leaves room, you can see my sample card, for him to chase those little hearts that I kind of look like they're floating away. At least that's what I got. And then up here at the top, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that happy birthday. Now this happy birthday stamp that I do, I like it. It's big and bold, and I think a very happy stamp. That came from the Party Puffins stamp set right here. I use that one quite a bit too. And then last but not least, and let me find my scraps here, on just a scrap piece of paper, I'm going to stamp the words, thinking of you on your special day. So I'm going to take this, and let's see, will it fit this way? No, it won't. I'll have to stamp it down here. I'm going to try to get it square with the bottom because I'm going to fussy cut this, and this way I just have to cut less paper. So I'm going to just stamp that down there. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. And this stamp set is from Inspired Thoughts. Now, to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever used this many different products in a video in my life, but I did have fun. And like I said, wait till I show you the other cards that I've made of this layout, and I used a ton of stuff. So let's color my little hippo here real quick. I'm going to use Granite Gray, both the light and the dark. And then I'm going to use those, skin tone blends. And this is the number 1000. So you'll have to check those out there in the annual catalog. But I'm going to start, because you see I have my other hippos already done here. Whoops, there they are. And if you noticed, I colored these with their bodies are light and their snouts are dark. But I want him to be just a little bit, let's give it a variety. So I'm going to start with the light, and I'm going to color his snout and his tummy in this light gray granite. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to even worry about blending. I think this is like a fast, fun card. I don't think it just needs to be colored. And as you know, I'm not big on coloring, so I think simple is, well, it's going to work here. We're going to just get some color on his tummy here. And for those of you that watch my video and are paying attention, this is still the gray granite card, or the gray granite Stampin' Blend that I used on those cats. And I've colored a bunch of hippos here too. So the Stampin' Blends really do last quite a while. Now I'm going to miss that little part of his ear up here because I want to just put a little bit of pink and give him a little bit of more color than just that gray. Let me get down here by his cheek and around his eyes. And then get down here on his body. And like I said, this is the dark. And then here's the, I was coloring my hippo and I said, oh, I forgot his arm, but do hippos have arms? I guess when they look like this and playful and fun, they do have arms, but really hippos only have legs. Okay, so with the dark, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the little nostrils up here. And then just to give it a little bit more different color, I'm going to bring in that paintbrush tip and see if I can't get his toenails just a little bit darker than what I colored the body. And I think that's another specialty about blends that people don't know or don't realize, is that the paintbrush tip sometimes even gives you a different color than the bullet tip does. Okay, so that's all for that. And then with that skin tone, I can't remember what they're called. I'm going to just color in his mouth because I don't want that stark white. Oh, and then I forgot, I'm also going to bring in some Flirty Flamingo, and that's what color, and I believe this is dark. Yes. Really, to be honest with you, I need to replace my Flirty Flamingo blends. They're getting pretty worn out. And then on my little lady here, you see I used the Flirty Flamingo on her flower, and then I did use dark Granny Apple Green on the leaf that's on the flower. So that's how I did those. We got those all done. I think that's all the stamping that I have. So let's set these aside and work a little bit more on this balcony card. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in those two pieces of cardstock that we scored earlier. And really, now that I have these tabs here, and if you fold the tabs back, this piece of Designer Series paper fits on there just right with a border. So I'm going to use liquid glue, just the green glue or all-purpose liquid glue, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to just put a little bit of liquid glue, make sure I get the edges. This way I can slide it around where I want it into place, like this. And then I'm going to take that and lay that right here in between those tabs on my cardstock. And then, like I said, I can slide it so it looks really good like that. And now I have a piece that looks like that, that has these little tabs. Now, like I said, we never really want to fold this in half. We just want a little bend on there so it looks good when it's bent and it looks good when it's flat. Because really this card, when you put it into the envelope, is going to lay flat. Okay, so let's do the same thing to this piece when you have those tabs. Now this piece is a little different because when you lay the Designer Series paper on there, it's going to actually go all the way to the side. And I'll show you when I put those on why that it's that way, I guess. I'm going a little bit of liquid glue here. And then just lay that, making sure it's straight. I can slide it around, hide my little tabs, and it still looks good, just like that. Bend it just a little bit so it still looks good when it's flat, but yet it looks good when it's bent too. Not completely folded in half, but just a little bent. Okay, let's go ahead and work on this piece. Now this piece I want to score in half. So I'm going to first of all take it and turn it over because I like the bump of the score line to be on the inside of my card. So that's why I'm turning it over. And this is 5 1/2, so I'm going to score it at 2 3/4. Now I'm going to get in the camera first. There we go. I'm going to push pretty hard on my scoring blade so it goes through both the designer or the basic white that we put on there and the card base. Okay, then I'm going to just barely bend that one. I'm not going to bend that one in half. I'm just going to kind of give it a bump. That way it still looks good flat, but it looks good when it's a little, like I keep calling it, bent. Okay, let's add these two pieces. Now on these two pieces, I'm going to put away my liquid glue and I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal Plus. If you have tear and tape, that would work too. But like I said, I'm going to use my Stampin' Plus, and let me show you why. So we're going to start with this piece here, the one that is 4 inches by 2.5. And on this tab over here, I'm going to completely cover it with that Stampin' Seal Plus. It's a really strong adhesive. Ooh, one strip did me good. Let's get the other side like this. And like you can see, it's on the front, right? Let me fold that over. I got a little bit wild there. Then I'm going to lay this on my card base. I'm going to line up those score lines as best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've made a lot of cards and haven't had any problems. And you know I'm not perfect, so you know I didn't do it right every time. But then I'm going to lift this up and just tuck those tabs underneath like this. And now I have the balcony part of my card. So when it lays flat to go in the envelope, it still looks good, but yet when your recipient gets it and they set it on their desk, it's going to look like that. Cute, right? Let's do the same thing to this piece. I'm going to unfold those tabs. I'm going to put adhesive all over those tabs. I'm going to line up that score line again. Now you can see, try to get my score line lined up. There we go. You can see that when you fold this over, or under, I guess, now it lines up with the edge of the card. And since we left that border right there, it still looks nice with the whole border on your card. Let's do the same thing to this side. And now we have our second balcony, I guess you'd call it. And when you stand it up, it looks like that. And look how cute that is. Now, I did take a piece of crushed curry cardstock like this, and I used those stylish shape dies. You know, my new favorite die, the second to the smallest. I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back of it. Uh-oh, let me see if I can find some. Here they are, some dimensionals here. And I'm going to set this right on, oops, the sun part of that stamped image. Look how cute that is. Then let's put together this little hippo here. Like I said, I've cut a lot of pieces. I have the little snorkel piece here. I have the little goggle piece here. And I don't know if you can see it or not, I've even taken that goggle and cut out a piece of window sheet to really seal the deal, I guess you'd call it. Here again, I'm going to use my liquid glue. And I'm going to put just, let's do the goggles first. That way we can put the oh, now I forgot what it's called. Snorkel part. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. Remember, a little bit of glue goes a long way. If you get globs, you can, you know, spread it out with the tip of your glue. And we're going to put the goggles right there on our hippo. And then take our snorkel. I'm going to just put a little bit down here at the mouthpiece and a little bit on the edges. And set that right there over his or her mouth. Now to put this window sheet, because I don't want glue, and I don't know if you even see it, all over, I have a little bit of glue here on the tip, and I'm going to just glue those edges. It doesn't take a lot, but I'm going to put a little bit of tiny glue up there on that edge. Whoop, I got a lot on that one. Wipe it off a little bit. But I think when you put it on the edges, it won't show near as much. And then when I slip that piece back in there, because I used the same die to cut out, now look how cute my little goggles look on my little hippo. Okay, maybe it's just me. I'm going to use my take a pick tool with the cap just to make sure that it's in there where we want it. And then with just a little bit of liquid glue on my hippo's body here, I'm going to tuck him right into what I call the pool here. And I got a little bit of glue higher than I wanted it, but I can just come back with my eraser and erase that when we're all done. So there's my little hippo in the pool. When he stands up, he looks like that. Then we're going to take this little hippo here, a little bit more liquid glue, and just put her down here on this side. And then I've cut several, well, you can see all those pieces I've cut, but I have several of these little green twigs here, sprigs here, whatever they are. I'm going to just start layering them all around my card. So I'm going to put one down here. And you know what? I think I'm going to move him over, her, it over here. And then I'm going to just put a big flower right here. And I've cut those out of Real Red, Daffodil Delight. You see all my little pieces here? And, Flirty Flamingo. There we go. I almost couldn't remember the other side. So, or the other color. So I'm going to just take 2 of my little sprigs here and lay those down. And I'm making sure that I get the right side up, because if you can see, they have a little bit of scoring that just gives them a cuter little effect there. And one here. And then right in the center of that one, I think I'm going to put a little bit of this little flower here. That's Flirty Flamingo. So there we go. So far, so good. Let's work a little bit more on our greeting for the other side. So remember, I stamped that piece here. I'm going to just take my paper snips, the ones that I use for paper, not the ribbon ones, and I'm going to just cut up the side of this. And then I'm going to just cut it down so it looks about like that. Nothing fancy, just cutting a rectangle. Now, to get the border for that, I'm going to use that piece that I had. Do I have another scrap here of blue? No, I don't. So that piece that I cut, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that. Tape that down to the corner of my blue here with just a little bit of border. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it takes me a couple tries to get the border just right, but the more you do, or the more you practice, or the more you do this style, the easier it gets. So I'm going to just cut it down like that. Oop, and I got a little crooked there. Let's fix that. And then that. And now I have a nice little border. I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on the back of that. And put that right here on the front of our card. Because the dimensionals on the front are fine, because it's going to go flat in your envelope like this. Now, if you wanted to make easier to mail, or make it easier to mail, I would just lay that flat. But I like to do a butterfly stamp on my cards. If you're not familiar with those are just called non-machinable stamps. They cost a little bit more, but then that way I can mail my card. Just, I don't have to worry about how much bling or how much depth it has. I just go for it. Maybe I'm a little spoiled that way. I think down here I'm going to put my little, in fact, you know what, I'm going to grab a mini dimensional. Let's see if I can find those in my mess of a pile of dimensionals over here. Oh, here's the pen. Was this there's one left on there. But I'm going to just take a dimensional right here and lay that little sprig like this. So you can still see my words, but I have a little sprig there, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. Let me see. Oh, I have one more. But I'm going to do the same thing over here. And that way, my little greenery is the same size as, or the same height, I guess, as my greeting. And then last, let's put a little flower on there. Because let's put on this side, so it has to be too many flowers together. So now I have an odd number of flowers. So then when I looked at my card, I was like, it looks pretty bland right here. It needs something. So then I have these little waves, I guess you'll call splashes. That they're little splashes of water, and I'm gonna punch those or get those out of my die. And then let me bring in my sample so I see where I put them. I'm gonna just take and put a little glob of glue right there, and then see if I can pick that up, maybe with my take a pick tool, and lay that right there. So it looks like he, hippo is splashing around in the pool. There we go. And then we'll do another one over here. Like that. Whoops. Stick to my paper, not to my thumb. I might have a little bit of glue on my fingers. And then the last one over here. And look how much character just that little bit of extra pieces gives my card, like that. So then the last thing we need to do is we need to give those flowers just a little bit of center. Oh no, we need to glue this on. Look, I almost forgot my hearts here. So once again, with that glue, I'm gonna just take and put a little dot here and lay that largest heart, because this die cuts out 3 flowers. I got 1 heart there. My fingers are really sticky. There we go. And then another one here. The medium-sized heart. I missed him. There he is. All right, let's just use a... Now I've lost him for good. Okay, well, we're only putting 2 hearts on this one because that little heart went a-flying when I tried to pick him up with a cap on, so don't do that. Maybe I have too many things in my hand. There we go. We'll just have 2 little hearts on this one, like that. And let's take this and add it to the back of our card. Is that not adorable? Look how cute. And even the 2 hearts look as good as the 3 hearts do. And I'm going to head and lay this one on the other side. This is where I would write my greeting. Now let's put some centers into our hearts. So I have these iridescent pearl backs. Now these are new to Stampin' Up! With the new annual catalog, and I have fallen in love with them. Not only do they have that pretty iridescent, they seem just to be the right size, whether they're the small ones that fit perfect. Look on the inside of those little flowers. Or if it's a large one down here that fits just right on those large flowers. There's one, likes my sticky fingers here. Alrighty, so there you go. There's my card. Thanks for sticking with me. But now, as promised, let me clean off my desk a little bit here, and I will show you all the other cards that I have designed with the same layout. So we have the little hippos, like this, and I showed you this one here. Now this one, I just wanted to try something different, so I took that brick embossing folder, and I found a piece of cardstock that was just among my scraps of paper that had already been embossed. Do you remember the Subtles folder that we used to sell? It was already embossed with that, so I embossed it with the bricks. So I don't know if you can see, it has a subtle brick embossing. I used the, well, like a million things here. The stamp on the back to wish him a happy birthday was from the Amazing Year stamp set, which is another one of my new favorites. I love this saying here: "You're an entire year more amazing and lovely as ever." Love that. For the happy birthday here, I used my go-to greetings stamp set. You know, I love that one. That was the brick that I used. The flowers up here, I cut them out in basic white and then just colored them. I believe I did it a while ago. I colored them with my blends, but it's just this long skinny die right here to make it look kind of like a planter box. And these are those tulip dies. Okay, then for the clouds, I used my Give It a Whirl dies. Love those stitch clouds up here at the top. The butterfly, of course, came from our Brilliant Wings dies. So that's where the little butterfly came from. And then, of course, I used the stitched rectangle dies to cut out the birthday here. And I don't know if you can see, but I used one of those brass butterflies to embellish the sayings or the greeting a little bit. So that was one of them. Ooh, and then that background paper, I don't know if I showed you or not, but that is a Wash and Beauty, which is just beautiful paper. And this is the front side or in the back, front and back, are those 2 colors or those 2 patterns that you see on my card. Okay, let me show you another one. And I think I'm just showing you because I loved how they all turned out. So you see the Pretty Bird bundle in the catalog? I fell in love with this. As a young girl, I had a bird, a parakeet, look just like that flew loose around in my room, and I did love him. But anyway, so that when I saw this bundle, I wanted to try it too. So the designer series paper on this card is another one of those celebration papers. It's a 12 by 12, pretty big. See, here is the back and here's the front of that designer series paper. It's called The Rings of Love. Now I know it coordinates with the log set, but there's so many pretty patterns in that paper. You want to see them? Let me show you real quick. So you have the one that I used on my card. And then there's a really cute fall. Look at the acorns and the different color leaves that have a really pretty pastel pattern on the back. And then I love these birds. Maybe I just like birds. And then the back of that one is very, I guess, like sky kind of thing. And then, let me see the others. Two more patterns. This pattern is houses. And on the back it has that, oh, I forget what those are called. Oh well, I'm not going to come up with it. I'm not smart enough on camera to do that. And then this pattern, which might be my favorite because I love the little butterfly with the mushrooms in the fall colors. But the background, oh no, there's the log, sorry, it's the next one. This one, which is Christmas, I love the back of this one, which looks like a forest of trees and stuff. So that's that paper. Again, this paper's in the Celebration catalog, so you can get it for free along. And then I did use those pretty bird dies and stamp set to do that. And then for this little greeting here and the greetings on the back, I used the sweet songbirds and again that go-to greetings. So that's that card. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but look at the little die with the bell. I just stamped those and some of the feathers out in some gold just to give it some bling. Oh, and this back here is that boughs punch that looks like this. So I just put the little greenery with the boughs punch. Okay, I'm not done, believe it or not, I have more. So then we had a team meeting and we did some mystery stamping, and this was the card that we made. I showed them how to do the balcony card. In this one, for the designer series paper, I used that host paper. Now I'm not going to take the time to show you all of these papers in here, but they are just amazing. Bright colors, wonderful, and I used the front and the back of that one. I did use the little ladybug and the punch for my embellishments on my card. I used the charming sentiments and the die set for my greeting, and on the back I used the reverse side to outline my greeting, and I just stamped that in two different colors. And then, oh, for the greenery on the back of this one, I used those Forever Flourishing, I call it the fern dies. I don't know if that's because they probably went with the fern stamp set. But I used those for the greetings on that card. Now, are you ready for, I think it might be my all-time favorite sample. And this one, if you're included in the demonstrator swap that Kathy Hansen does for the new mini catalog, this is going to be my swap for that. And it looks like this. And I thought, look how cute. I love this card. So on this card, of course, I used the designer series paper that goes with that Santa Claus suite. So I used this here, and I did use the front and the back. The back has those great snowflakes on there. This is amazing paper. I love this suite. And then for the little Santa Claus, I use the, oh, where are they? Here they are. The little Santa delivery along with the Santa train dies to cut those out, and they cut the penguin out. And if you look closely, I even have the little puffs of smoke up here on a window sheet that makes it look like the puff of smokes are coming out of the train. I did use a bunch of different blends to color it. And then the last thing, oh, and I used the little adhesive back stars, which I kind of thought they looked like snowflakes, so I added those to the back. They're the same part of that suite. And then the final touches for those, I use these pearlized enamel effects. So let me show you. On Santa's hat right here, I put a little bit of the white. On the train wheels, I used a little bit of the gray. And then on the Christmas tree here, I used a little bit of the red. And then, of course, you have to put a little bit of Wink of Stella onto your star. I think I put it on the flag and on Santa's beard. So that's that card. I know, way too much fun making these balcony cards. So let me try to get them all in the camera again. And like I said, they fit in a normal A1, 1A, A4, whatever, a normal medium envelope. You can mail them flat, and then that way when your person gets them, they can pop them up and they can sit on your desk. All right, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Wish me luck to get my blog up and going so I can have the measurements there. If you ever, though, have any questions or if you need a demonstrator, my name is Kathy Howes from Denver, Colorado, and I would love to be yours. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here on Friday. Bye-bye.